Throne and Liberty is a very complicated MMO. There are a ton of systems and not all of them are well explained. In this video in part 1 I'm going to break down these systems and how they all work. Then in part 2 I will talk about optimal ways to progress your character using these systems. And in part 3 I'll finish with some tips to round out the video. First, let's talk about the Codex. This is essentially what replaces what you might know as quests and other MMOs, along with contracts, which are a separate system. There are 3 different categories of the Codex: the Adventure Codex, the Exploration Codex, and the Collection Codex. The Adventure Codex is what delivers the story of the game and will take you through every zone in the world as you level. It gives great XP, but it cannot be used exclusively for leveling, as you will run out of Adventure Codex missions within your level range as you level. The Exploration Codex is essentially 4 different quest chains that are 3 quests long in each zone for a total of 12. Fully completing this codex for each zone will give a final reward in addition to the rewards for each individual quest. Finally, the Collection Codex is based on pages that you collect throughout the world. Collecting these pages awards experience as well as ornamental coins, which are used to purchase morphs and Amitois in the ornamental shop. Next we have events. Events like the Adventure Codex also give great XP. The upcoming and active events can be seen in the top right corner of the UI just to the left of the minimap. For a longer term look at upcoming events, open your map and go to the Timetable tab. To tell if an event is a peace or PvP enabled event, check the event list. It will state there. All open world boss and arc boss events are PvP enabled. Zone events rotate between peace and PvP. Open world bosses are always PvP enabled. The Castle Siege is another PvP event as well. Events are a great source of one of the harder to get materials, marines, which are needed for crafting skill books, which upgrade your skills. So if you need to upgrade your skills, do events. The wolf hunting contest is the first event you will see in the Black Howl Plains, which is a level 8 to 11 zone. For this event, you simply kill wolves in the area, collect their tails, and turn them in at the turn-in locations. Every event has a secondary mechanic. For the wolf tails events, over time there will be less turn-in locations, which matters a lot more when PvP is enabled for the event. Pay attention to the NPC dialogue to know when the secondary mechanics are triggering. Every zone after Black Howl Plains also has an event. These zone events repeat every 2 hours and they last for 20 minutes. Open world field boss events repeat every 3 hours and are PvP enabled. Open world arc boss events occur once per week and are also PvP enabled. The Stoneguard Castle Siege happens twice per week, Wednesday and Friday. The guild that owns the castle will receive a lot of rewards for owning it. In addition, there is a tax delivery event that occurs between the castle sieges. If successful, the guild will collect the extra tax money. If not, the attackers can get the tax money. The siege has several stages with 2 walls, the outer and inner walls, that need to be destroyed to get to the throne room. There are golem morphs that guild leadership can summon at the siege ruins. There is also a platform siege golem that can lift players to the top of the wall without having to break it down. If the wind is out of the north and strong enough, it might be possible to glide to the top of the outer wall if your gliding skill is high enough. Once in the throne room, a guild leader can capture the throne, but then will need to stay alive for 5 minutes to hold the throne to capture the castle. Guilds can form alliances in Throne and Liberty, and these can be broken at any time, including during the castle siege. There are several capturable objectives in the castle. Outside of the castle are 4 capture points that can be used as a respawn point, and guild leadership can summon golems from these points as well. In the center of the outer wall area is another capturable respawn point, and near the throne room is a final capturable respawn point. There are also 4 pillage zone capture points. Holding these will give your guild gold every 5 minutes from the castle. There's also a sewer path that can be taken as an alternate path to the throne room if it is not raining. There are also boonstones and riftstones that can be captured by guilds. These can be fought over every 3 days, and the time of day varies for each stone. These provide varying benefits to the owning guild, including XP bonuses in that zone, higher drop chances, the local bosses being available to raid in the guild hall raid portal, and resources that are produced for the guild treasury every hour. Each guild can control 3 boonstones and 3 free rift stones based on the level of the guild. There's also a system in Throne and Liberty called contracts. These are available at various locations throughout the world, and oftentimes a contract NPC will cover multiple zones. If you are looking for new contracts that are appropriate for your level, if you click the notification tracker on the right side of your UI or press H and go to the contract section, the appropriate contract NPC for your level will be mentioned there. In higher level areas, special contracts are available. These are one of the few methods of acquiring Stellarite, in addition to later being able to craft it, which is a consumable material that boosts your damage with each attack. Then there are also higher level contracts which can be acquired when killing elite monsters in each zone. These are rare spawns that occur throughout the zone and are also needed to be killed to complete the exploration codex. These higher level contracts give better rewards, and these contracts can also be crafted as well using combination seals at the Sundries crafters. The combination seals can be acquired by breaking down other high level contracts, so if you are in a higher level zone and want to get rid of some old contracts, you can dissolve them and use the dissolved materials to craft new contracts. In general, contracts are a good way to get materials needed to craft gear and upgrade stones needed to upgrade your gear in the equipment enchanting menu. I like to stack contracts in one zone as often the kill objectives will overlap, making completing these contracts much faster. And I like to make sure I select rewards that I am needing, especially if I'm trying to finish a crafted item. So refreshing until you get the optimal set of contracts is the way to go. Then there are open world dungeons. These all have PvP turned on. Some are open only during certain times, like Soluce's Abyss. The first open world dungeon is only open during the day. It has 4 floors and caters to players level 20 to level 48. If you have Abyss points, you will get extra XP and rewards from these dungeons. This can be a good XP source if you have Abyss points and a good group. Secret dungeons are another system in the game. These are also solo dungeons that reward a decent amount of gear, upgrade stones, and other materials. Guilds are very complex in Throne and Liberty. The open world bosses, which always have PvP on, can be raided once per day in the guild hall in an instance. Items dropped in these instances will be bound to the player and not be able to be sold on the marketplace. Players can contribute to the guild via donations, guild contracts, and just playing the game in general. Guilds can summon guild summon portals that can teleport all guild members to a location, which is useful for the castle siege and other events. TL is a game that is much better experienced with a good guild. I highly recommend finding a good guild, and my guild, Genesis, is recruiting for Throne and Liberty. There are also Guardians. These transform the player that provides buffs during the 30-second duration, but has a 5-minute cooldown. These are mostly acquired via the exploration codex. Gathering also exists in the game. There are trees, plants, and mineral deposits that can be gathered from. These give crafting materials and roughly the same XP as one mob kill. So early on when trying to stockpile materials for crafting, I suggest gathering everything you see. Later on, you might only gather materials that you are short on for crafting. There are also mystic globes in the game. For these, you will need mystic keys, which you can purchase with contract coins you get from completing contracts. These give a nice amount of materials and have a chance to open a mystic portal, which gives great rewards, but can be hard to find. I suggest grabbing every mystic portal you come across. And on to part 2 now. Now that I have broken down every system in the game, let's talk about how to progress your character efficiently using these systems. There are multiple progression systems in Throne and Liberty. It is not just character level that matters, you also have to craft your own gear, as that is by far the most reliable source of gear, and you have to upgrade your weapon skills and your weapon mastery. Your Amitoi pets, which heal you over time, can be upgraded, and your land, air, and sea player transformations can all be upgraded. For the first progression system, let's talk about leveling. Most everything you do in Throne and Liberty will give you experience. The best XP comes from the Adventure Codex, events, and if you have a good group and a good stack of Abyss points, the open world dungeons are a good option as well. However, the Exploration and Collection Codex also give decent XP, but more importantly, these are both good sources of materials needed for crafting gear and creating skill books to upgrade your skills, so it is also a good idea to do these as much as possible. In general though, it might be better to worry about these later after you have leveled up and can come back and complete these codexes more easily once the zones are less populated. Most of your gear will be crafted, at least early on. Gear drops are very rare. I suggest crafting a full set of green uncommon gear first, and do not be afraid to upgrade it fully, because the upgrades can be transferred to blue rare gear once you craft that. A fully upgraded green will give 3 levels to a blue piece of gear, and the max level is 6, so definitely worth doing. Green gear just requires quality lithographs, which are not hard to acquire. Blue gear and higher requires a lithograph specific for each piece, which are harder to acquire. Some of the easier ones to acquire are from the Equipment Lithograph book and often require making 4 pieces of green gear and turning them into the book. These are not the best rare pieces, but they are easier to acquire than most of the other lithographs, which require drops or getting lucky with contract rolls. Because of how lengthy it is to upgrade your gear, I suggest picking 2 weapons early on and sticking with them. Some good combinations are staff and wand, sword and shield, and any ranged weapon or greatsword. Daggers and crossbow, longbow and crossbow are another good set of options. Building for AoE farming is helpful for contract farming later on. Several weapon sets have good AoE options. Open world mobs are pretty easy to kill in general, so AoE farming huge packs is not hard to do if you build correctly. Gear upgrades are done via the Equipment Enchanting menu and require growth stones, which can be acquired from the Codex, contracts, secret dungeons, or can be crafted as well. You also need to allocate stats as needed in TL. This stat allocation is going to be based on your weapon choice. For example, a staff user might prefer intelligence primarily and perception as a secondary. At 30 points in each stat, it starts to take 2 points to level them, so it might be ideal to level your primary stat to 30, then start distributing points in your secondary stats for a while. There is also gear mastery that is earned when you get experience. This is a fairly straightforward vertical progression for your weapons. Your Amitoi, which is a pet that gathers drops for you and does a small periodic heal on you using world leaves, can also be upgraded. This is done by collecting more Amitois, which can be done with the Exploration Codex, and some can be purchased in the Ornamental Coin Shop using ornamental coins gathered from the Collection Codex. Your transformations are upgraded in the same manner, and the Exploration Codex and Ornamental Coin Shop are also some of the ways to upgrade them. Now we move on to part 3, where I just give a list of tips that I have acquired to help you play TL. Number 1 is dailies. There are not quests in TL in the traditional sense, so there are not daily quests, but there are daily rewards you get for playing the game. To see the full list of dailies available, check the Battle Pass, which breaks down tasks into daily and weekly categories. Also, there are some vendors that sell a limited supply of materials daily, most notably the Guild Merchant and the Contract Coin Merchant. The Contract Coin Merchant sells Mystic Keys, which you will always want to have a good supply of for collecting Mystic Globes in the world. Growth stones, which are always needed to upgrade your gear, and even a few Amitois are sold there. Most things sold by the Contract Coin Merchant are limited to a certain amount per day, so each day make sure to buy anything you need. The guild vendor has a limited daily supply of the higher tier health potions and is the only major source of mana regen, potions which you will need. Make sure to stock up on these daily as well. The second tip is to watch your inventory weight. Getting above 100% weight in your inventory comes with a big penalty that you might not notice at first, and that is you take a 50% reduction in both mana and health regen, and this penalty gets worse at 100% of max weight and 200% of max weight. The third tip is experience debt restoration. Every time you die, you take experience debt. You get 3 free restorations per day at the Einar Priestess. The rest will cost either Solant or restoration coins. You can queue multiple XP debts to recover from at once as well. Stellarite is a consumable that is fairly rare but does boost your damage a good amount. Save this resource for major objectives and not just for regular contract farming. There are rare weapon crafting lithographs that you can buy from the guild merchant. These have to be crafted at a special crafter that wanders between Vienta village and the sanctuary excavation site. There is a rare set of gear that can be crafted by first crafting 4 pieces of uncommon gear and turning them into the equipment lithograph book to get the corresponding rare lithograph for each piece. This is not as good as the other rares, but they are easier to obtain. There is an Amitoi collection lithograph in the Amitoi menu and a transformation lithograph in the Morph menu. This is where you collect new Amitois and Morphs which upgrade their power. Dissolving an item will return roughly half the materials it took to craft it. Dissolving is a good way to get magic dust if you are short on magic dust. You can even buy uncommon gear from the gear vendor to get the lowest tier magic dust, and then you can upgrade that magic dust to higher tiers as needed. Weather is region-based in TL and can be seen on the map. For example, the Lazland region contains 10 zones, and each shares the same weather. Hover over the weather indicator on the map to see the current weather. Weather can have major effects on your combat, gliding, and other things. For example, the staff gets a lot more AoE potential in the rain. Some gliding objectives for the Adventure Codex require the wind to be out of a certain direction. Similarly, day and night can also affect combat, dungeon availability, and your ability to complete objectives in the Codex. Day lasts for 3 hours and night lasts 1 hour. The indicator on the mini-map tells you how much time is left in the day. If the dot is at the top, there are 3 hours left, on the right 2 hours, and at the bottom 1 hour. Gigantrithe spawns every 3 hours and provides buffs for everyone while active. There is one island zone that you can only reach via this flying whale, and there is probably more areas that you'll be able to reach in the future. Outside of that, it is not useful for anything else currently, although there is a gathering node on it that requires special materials to gather. Are you struggling with open world boss fights? Remember to block. Each boss has at least one big wind-up attack that needs to be blocked. There are also some mechanics that can be dodged by jumping or going into water to clear debuffs. After killing a boss, be sure to go to the distribution tab of your guild to see your rewards and claim them. If you want to see what a material does or where to acquire it, there is a description icon you can click that shows this information. You can set some food buffs and potion to auto use by right-clicking them. They do not have to be in your quick slot to do this. And those are the 15 tips, in addition to everything else in this guide. Finally, I want to address the guides kill MMOs crowd real quick to say, while this guide might save you hours of frustrating while learning these systems, in the end it will not kill Throne and Liberty for you. This is a very grindy game, and saving a few hours of time in the long run is probably going to seem pretty small if you stick with this game for a few months. For those on the fence about this game, it gets you into the game faster so you can make the decision whether this MMO is for you or not. Also, while I am recruiting for Throne and Liberty for my guild, do note that Throne and Liberty was only ever intended to be a game that I cover short term until Ashes of Creation Alpha 2 arrived or PAX Day testing arrived. With the massive delays to Throne and Liberty, it now has a good chance to conflict with these other more promising MMOs, so how much I actually end up playing TL remains to be seen. So if you're looking for a guild that is more committed to Throne and Liberty, I definitely understand that. And that's all I have for this MMO. I rarely ask for anything in my videos from you guys, but when I create a big project like this, I will ask for that subscription. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.